another episode of Sci-Connect. I am Teacher Roby and I am your science teacher for today. Are you now ready to learn? Let's start! This video lesson is connected to our previous lesson about the reproductive system. I am going to discuss a more specific change that females undergo and experience every month. It is called menstrual cycle. The most essential competency for this lesson is to explain the menstrual cycle. We have here the learning targets. In this lesson, the learners will be able to define menstruation, describe what happens in each stage or phase of menstrual cycle, and explain how menstrual cycle affect reproduction. Now, in order to test how much you know about the menstrual cycle, you are going to try this activity. Directions: choose the letter of the correct answer and write it in your notebook. Number 1. What is the second phase of the menstrual cycle? A. Luteal phase. B. Follicular phase. C. Ovulation phase. D. Menstruation phase. Number 2. At what days in the menstrual cycle does ovulation phase occur? A. 1 to 5 days. B. 6 to 10 days. C. 11 to 18 days. D. 19 to 28 days. Number 3. At what phase of the menstrual cycle does the uterus prepare for a possible fertilization? A. Luteal phase. B. Follicular phase. C. Ovulation phase. D. Menstruation phase. Number 4. How many days does the menstrual cycle last? A. 10 days. B. 18 days. C. 20 days. D. 28 days. Number 5. What happens during menstruation phase? A. The uterine lining breaks down and blood comes out of the vagina. B. The egg cell travels along the oviduct or fallopian tube and waits for a sperm cell. C. This is a repair period for the uterine lining and development period for an egg to mature. D. The uterus prepares for a possible fertilization and implantation by making the uterine lining grow and thicken. This time, learners, I want you to do this activity. Directions: interview girls or women and list down 5 things they experience or they do before, during, and after the menstruation by completing the table below. Write your answers in your activity notebook. Amazing kids for finishing the activity. Now, to unlock the difficult words used in this lesson, we have here the word bank. The words that we have here are ovulation, mature, fertilization, implantation, and cycle. And now it's time to explore. This activity is entitled Describe Me. Objective: describe what happens in each stage or phase of menstrual cycle. Procedure: 1. Study the diagram of a menstrual cycle on the right. 2. Describe each phase of the cycle in a short paragraph. Write your answer in the activity notebook. 3. Answer the guide questions in your activity notebook. The guide questions are the following. 1. What is menstrual cycle? 2. How many phases are there in the cycle? 3. What do the numbers in the diagram indicate? You are given 5 minutes to answer, so please start now your timers. Five minutes is up. Well done in finishing the activity. This time, learners, I want you to get your ball pen and your notebook and take note of these important details. The menstrual cycle is the monthly series of changes a woman's body goes through in preparation for the possibility of pregnancy. Each month, one of the ovaries releases an egg, a process called ovulation. At the same time, hormonal changes prepare the uterus for pregnancy. This is a menstrual period. We have here the phases of menstrual cycle. Phase 1. This is the menstruation phase. The first day of menstruation is the first day of menstrual cycle. The uterine lining breaks down and blood comes out of the vagina. This is called the menstrual flow. The flow lasts from 3 to 5 days. It marks the beginning of the next menstrual cycle. Phase 2. This is the follicular phase. The lining of the uterus becomes thin after menstruation. This is a repair period for the uterine lining and development period for an egg to mature. Phase 3. The mature egg is released. This period is called ovulation phase. The egg cell travels along the oviduct or fallopian tube and waits for a sperm cell. Phase 4. This is called luteal phase. During this period, the uterus prepares for a possible fertilization and implantation by making the uterine lining grow and thicken. And for you to understand more about the menstrual cycle, I want you to watch the video for more information about menstruation and take note of the important details for future reference.
Menstruation, also called having a period. As girls get older and their bodies change, they get their periods. The uterus is the part inside the body where a baby grows when a woman is pregnant. The inner lining of the uterus supports and nourishes the developing baby. If there is no baby, the lining is shed during her period. During a period, blood and other tissue from the uterus leave the body through the vagina. A period can last from a few days to about a week. You may have heard doctors talk about the menstrual cycle. This is the time from one period to another, usually about 28 days. Day 1 of the menstrual cycle is the first day of a period. The uterus starts to shed its lining. As soon as the period ends, the uterus prepares again to receive a fertilized egg. Eggs are released from a woman's ovaries. Eggs are super tiny, 1/10 the size of a poppy seed. Women have 2 ovaries, one on each side. The fallopian tubes lead from each ovary to the uterus. In the middle of the menstrual cycle, an ovary releases an egg. After ovulation, the egg travels down the fallopian tube. It takes a few days to complete the journey. Meanwhile, the lining of the uterus gradually gets thicker so it can support the development of a fertilized egg. If the egg gets fertilized, it will implant in the uterus and the woman is pregnant. If the egg is not fertilized, the woman is not pregnant, and the egg will begin to dissolve. Because the woman is not pregnant, the lining of the uterus is not needed. A woman will have her monthly period, and the cycle begins again.
And now, learners, we are going to move on to another part of our lesson in which you are going to apply what you have learned. Directions: write down any word or words related to menstruation by completing the acronym in your activity notebook. For the reflection part, I want you to complete the following sentence prompts in your activity notebook. I have learned that. I wish to ask my teacher about. And now we are down to the last part of this lesson. We are going to assess what you have learned. Directions: choose the letter of the correct answer and write it in your activity notebook. 1. At what phase of the menstrual cycle does the uterus prepare for a possible fertilization? A. Luteal phase. B. Follicular phase. C. Ovulation phase. D. Menstruation phase. 2. How many days does the menstrual cycle last? A. 10 days. B. 18 days. C. 20 days. D. 28 days. 3. What is the second phase of the menstrual cycle? A. Luteal phase. B. Follicular phase. C. Ovulation phase. D. Menstruation phase. 4. At what days in the menstrual cycle does ovulation phase occur? A. 1 to 5 days. B. 6 to 10 days. C. 11 to 18 days. D. 19 to 28 days. 5. What happens during menstruation phase? A. The uterine lining breaks down and blood comes out of the vagina. B. The egg cell travels along the oviduct or fallopian tube and waits for a sperm cell. C. This is a repair period for the uterine lining and development period for an egg to mature. D. The uterus prepares for a possible fertilization and implantation by making the uterine lining grow and thicken. Congratulations, learners, for completing all the activities about menstrual cycle. Do not forget to keep your activity notebooks because it will be collected and will be checked by your science teacher. Answer diligently.
Congratulations, learners, for finishing this video lesson. I hope you enjoyed learning with me today. Remember, learning is fun with Sci-Connect.